Before you guys watch this, there are some points that, I don't know, from a certain angle you could call them racist. They're not meant to be. I just want to share my thoughts because I think other people will find value in them, and I just want to offer that value. Besides, I'm a rapper, and I don't think we're allowed to be racist. So there's something in marketing a lot of artists kind of pretend doesn't exist, but in reality it's literally everywhere and impossible to avoid. It's just as present as it doesn't seem. This is what's called polarization. I know it's a really long 5-syllable word, but the meaning of it is very powerful. It is, according to Google, the division of two sharply contrasting opinions, ideas, or beliefs. And there are so many times people use this in marketing that are just extremely effective. The reason it's so powerful is that those two contrasting opinions will create tons of controversy, and people will emotionally, almost energetically, push themselves to one side or the other. The fact that there are two main political parties is a perfect example of this. And the fact that media outlets like Fox and CNN will take bits and pieces of full stories and then amplify them to convince you to click on them and waste your incredibly valuable time and energy pushing yourself to feel one way or the other and maybe talk to other people about it, that's a pretty good example too, because it reinforces that opinion you have. They don't do it because of some overarching apocalyptic Illuminati Freemason agenda. But honestly, that's just my opinion. That's just my belief. And the fact that these outlets do it so much and there's so much controversy probably sparked that opinion. Now, if it's just one story and people are either pushing one agenda or the other, what matters is that there are two agendas being pushed. And what matters just as much, if not more, is that they are dividing against each other on their own. You don't have to promote and further expose them unless you want to multiply those results, which you probably do. So that's polarizing. It's dividing. And when it comes to being an artist, with marketing, the more polarizing, the better. That's what makes for the best success stories anyway, as long as you can face the adversity, which a fat majority of people cannot. Like shit, look at Obama. Look at Eminem. The amount of adversity these guys face is staggering because of the history of their fields not being very welcome to their respected races. It makes them new. It makes them threatening to one side and very relatable, agreeable, potentially novel to another. It makes them polarizing and it creates division. You may not like Obama, but he was the first black president. He was black, and he was the president. There was a time when blacks were slaves in this country. 200 years later, the president of the country is black. Really think about that for a second and let that sink in. That's adversity. And it's also fucking polarization. I think it's amazing and kind of beautiful in a way. You may not like Eminem, but a lot of people will actually refuse to look at him as the GOAT, greatest of all time in rap music, because he's white. A huge thing with Eminem, despite that, is I have worked with so many white rap artists who sound nothing like Eminem. But Eminem is so well known for his brand and his history that I'm willing to bet at least 98% of people who know about him almost subconsciously associate the term white rapper with him before any other rapper. People argue that sound doesn't matter in 2018. Go listen to Lil Peep and then go listen to Lil Pump and tell me that they sound the same. These artists are unique. Nobody can get big sounding like them. And it's not just white rappers either, for people who think I'm trying to discriminate here. Think about Kendrick Lamar. Nobody really seems to become popular sounding like him. However, a lot of people tell me that I sound like him. But you know what? I'm white, and I have told people of all colors, and they have agreed with me that from a marketing standpoint, it's better to be white and sound like him. Maybe not better, but more beneficial than black. Now, this honestly probably sounds very racist, but let me be honest with you. If I heard that there's a white artist and a black artist who both sound like Kendrick Lamar, and I had to check out one of them first, gun to the head in a split second of decision, which one would you pick? If you had to check one of them out first. Gun to the head, like I could listen to both of them in the long run, but gun to the head, like if I had to make a choice, I would prefer to check out the white rapper first. And someone could say, you know, that's just because I'm white and that's just me and we're similar or something like that. But when I think about it a little more, that's not as much of a reason as the fact that it's new and it sounds like Kendrick, but it's not the same thing because someone mentioned a difference. So that makes it interesting. What makes this white rapper any different? There's a gap in your mind that wants to be filled when you hear things like that. Maybe it's the exact same shit, but maybe it's not. So then you're thinking, well, if he's white, what about his music, if anything, is gonna be different? There's typically no gap, or at least as much of a gap if it's the same color person, the same gender, sex person, the same anything kind of person. If there's a difference and it's slight, but there's also a similarity, it's gonna pop. By the way, if you're curious whether I actually sound like Kendrick Lamar, there will be links to my music in the description for you to make the judgment yourself. By the way, believe me, I'm not trying to shove some hateful, racist bullshit down your throats. I love all these artists I just mentioned. I love hip-hop. I think good music is good music. That's just factual. I think if you disagree with me on everything I just said, you could still agree with me on that. But I also love marketing and psychology. There's a lot of controversy behind the new Drake song, Nice for What? You know why? Because Drake is criticized for having a monotone voice, ghostwriters, a fake persona, whatever the fuck that is, and some other bullshit. Like, he used to be an actor, he looks like a manatee, and whatever. People have some interesting ways of making things seem worse than they are, but there are a couple things, to me at least, in this song that stand out. One, Drake uses his upper register for this song. There's nothing monotone about it, really at all. Number two, Drake was one of the writers. It was not ghost written by other people. He had a team of writers he worked with for it. And that's not just him. It's Kendrick Lamar on every song on his album Damn. It's Eminem on every song on his album Revival. It's Taylor Swift on pretty much all her songs. I'm pretty sure Ed Sheeran too. What's wrong with Drake doing it for his singles? Number three, Drake has been talking about girls from an empathetic viewpoint for fucking years. What's authentic about him doing it in this song? Most people like Drake don't survive longer than 2 or 3 years in a mainstream spotlight because he just does shit like this constantly. In his God's Plan video, he literally gave away almost $1 million to a bunch of random people in Miami, Florida, or some city in Florida, I don't remember which. But this song is about female empowerment in the digital age. It doesn't have the best mixing, except for the vocals. There's way too much high end. It's over a beat that you'd probably expect Kanye West to hop on in like 2004, 2005. I mean, someone could come up with a better example than this, but come on, it samples Lauryn Hill. What's not polarizing about that with the pitch correction in the chorus? The point is, it's different. People are used to things about it. Maybe it's components, but they're not entirely used to it as a whole. People hear my music and might be surprised that I don't look the way I sound. People hear about a multi-billionaire entrepreneur running for president and are surprised when they win. But you know what? That's because it's polarizing, it's marketing, and it's effective, and it's what gets results. And this is only going to become more true over time. So what are you doing that's polarizing? What are you doing that other people love or hate? You gotta be doing something. What are some other good examples of polarization? I know they're all over politics. Let me know in the comments below. There should be links in the description for any songs or books or interviews or whatever the fuck that I mentioned. You can find me everywhere, and I will see you then.